Hi everyone, my name is Sean Douglas Ross. I am the director and producer of The Dreamcatcher. Hopefully you all have had a chance to watch the film and let me know what you think down in the comments and like the video. If you haven't seen the film yet, the video will be linked in the description and there will be a card somewhere up at the top for you to click and watch the video. Without further ado, I give you Chasing Dreams, the Dreamcatcher behind the scenes documentary. So, as many of you could probably tell from my recent uploads, I've been studying film and television at New York University. And this is actually kind of where this concept and idea stemmed from. So we started out dealing with simple narrative films, and that is where Choking Hazard came in, telling a story with zero dialogue, but really conveying to the audience what exactly is happening, and being able to get your point across without dialogue. So our next step as filmmakers was diving into experimental work, and I didn't really know what that meant. I was more used to creating a narrative story that was just beginning, middle, and end, and didn't really do too much to confuse the audience. So when we were tasked with making experimental, I initially thought, okay, pick something that I haven't done before and try my hand at that. And that right there is actually how this project came to be. This film was supposed to be my experimental assignment for New York University. And initially, when discussing this with my professor, a big problem was, the film is very complicated. And there was a worry that I wouldn't have enough time to really tell the story because we only had 2 minutes. So actually, I ended up scrapping the idea. It was a very daunting task, and I didn't think that I was going to be able to tell that story in under 2 minutes. So I actually ended up making this film. And, The Dreamcatcher went on the back burner. With The Dreamcatcher, I had put all this time and energy into writing a script, making a storyboard, even trying to contact actors, and it was really a skeleton of a project that I had already laid out the foundation for and just kind of scrapped it. And I knew that if I didn't make this project, I would end up regretting it, and that would be a waste. So when it came around time to make our final projects, I knew that this was a story I had to go with. This was a story that needed to be told. So I ended up making this for my final project. So Jason in the film, he is kind of our comedic relief character, and he initially wasn't supposed to have as big of a role in this film because I didn't want to. I was very weary of adding more than 2 characters because I didn't want to further complicate this film more than I needed to. But I knew from the beginning that ending shot of the film where Khamari is laying on the bed and his roommate comes to wake him up, I knew that I wanted that shot in the film. So I said, all right, I can't just throw this roommate character into the end of the film, so I need to interweave him into different parts of this film so that the audience is used to seeing this character, they know who he is and how he serves the plot. So that is where the character Jason came to be. And when looking for an actor to play this, it was a no-brainer. Arturo Gracia was the guy for the job.
Hello, my name is Arturo Gracia. I was one of the actors in Chasing Dreams.
All right, tell me about your experience with the director and how you guys know each other.
So, Sean Ross is a student, a film and television student to be precise, at NYU, in which I am a biology student at. And this is, I think, my 4th Sean Ross production under my belt, and I just think the director is the only reason I was able to get by it. his directorial intention, his vision is always so clear, and he allows me to do my work while giving me his input, and it's just a beautiful job we do together, and I appreciate his every films. I think what's so beautiful about this film is that we see a lot of ourselves in it sometimes, and I think maybe not physically in the way that it's told through the film, but we all have wanted a lot of things that is not physically attainable or even sometimes mentally. And what I'm excited about this film is to see how other people can find that in themselves in the way that I was able to, in the way I know Sean was able to. And that's the beauty of art, transmitting emotions that we enjoy having.
So when casting the character Armani, I initially wrote this character kind of as, essentially in the film she's a siren, right? She lures our character in and convinces him to kind of give his life to live out this fantasy in this super impractical relationship. So, when casting this film, I put out different casting calls. I had a couple different actors get back to me, which they didn't fall through. There was cancellations here and there. And I actually just ended up reaching out to a friend who mentioned that she had been interested in acting but never really did it before. And I said, you know what? There's not a lot of dialogue. It's not too complicated of a role. I'll give you a shot. So I ended up giving the role to, this wonderful actress, Sky Bowie, and she really kind of just brought the character to life in a way that I really found satisfactory.
Hi, I'm Sky. It's November 3rd. We just wrapped up a little test shoot here in Coney Island Beach. It's so nice out. Honestly, it exceeded my expectations. It's my first time here. It was a pretty cool experience. So, thanks Sean for asking me to do this.
So when writing the character of Khamari, I really did kind of model this character off of myself. We have this character who has this very, impractical idea of how relationships should be. And, he's young, he's in college, he's still kind of trying to figure things out for himself. And, him and his roommate, they're just talking, what are relationships like? What is it like to kind of want something that you just really can't have? It's kind of like all in your head. So that's where the idea of Khamari came from. So when writing a character that's kind of in a way based off of yourself and your own life circumstances, when looking for an actor, you really, really want to make sure you have the right choice. And initially, I thought, it'd be really cool. I wrote this character based off of myself. It'd be really cool to act out this character, but that was really impractical for someone like me who also likes to be behind the camera and make sure that everything looks right. So I initially put up a bunch of casting calls to find this character of Khamari, and I had a couple people get back to me, in which I did eventually settle on an actor, but I got out to shooting, and he ended up just not showing up. So that was the moment where I said, yeah, that was my sign to just play the character myself. So my cinematographer, really, really great guy. I actually, I put up a casting call for the film, and I wasn't even looking for any crew members yet. I initially put up the casting call for the roles of Khamari and Armani, and Enzo reached out to me and he asked if I needed anyone on crew, and I didn't really think about that yet, and I realized, yeah, I do. So I set up a couple meetings with him, got to know him, see some of his work, and I realized, this is the guy that I want behind the camera. I think that he has a good eye for filmmaking, and I'd like to work with him. So, a lot of things inspired this film and kind of led way to the way that this film is formulated and the direction that it went in. And one of those big inspirations was actually the film Inception. So we have this concept where these characters are able to just dive in and out of dreams, and I really wanted to do something like that, which is why my character is able to just kind of snap right back into his dream and so effortlessly go back and forth from the real world to the dream world. Another concept from a film that I tried to take away and implement into my film was actually the film Her. We have this character that falls in love with, this really kind of like impractical girl, I'll say. He falls in love with an AI, an artificial intelligence. And he's dealing with, how do you go about a relationship in that sense? And that was a concept that I decided to implement in my film. We have Khamari, who falls in love with, this girl that exists inside of his mind. How does he deal with living in the real world while also trying to be with this dream girl? So, another big, kind of inspiration was how I came about the idea to add virtual effects to the background of the dream sequences to really give it some extra color and pop. I can owe that to the movies Avatar and Black Panther. When I originally came up with the concept, this idea, I was really blown away by the astral plane as seen in the movie Black Panther. And I knew immediately that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted this kind of real world feel while also making it seem like a place that you couldn't go to as well. I was also inspired by, James Cameron's work in Avatar, where, he had all these planets and stars and different stuff in the background just to kind of make this world seem vast and super imaginative. So when we talk about the dream world, I knew immediately that I wanted something vast. I wanted a great view of the sky so that I could do my motion tracking, I could do my virtual effects. But when you're in a place like New York, it's really hard to find that, especially because I didn't want any people, and I didn't want any cars, and least of all, I didn't want any buildings. So how was I gonna get that? Well, you go to the beach. So originally I was like, where can I go? And I knew that New York had Coney Island. So I looked at it, and it was about an hour away. And I knew that asking actors and crew and lugging all of that equipment out there was going to be a really daunting task. So I made sure when casting and, calling for crew that they were fully aware that, we were going to go pretty far out, and it was going to be a very, very long day of shooting. Hello, this is Sean Ross. Today is November 3rd, and I am getting ready to go to Coney Island to meet my actors and shoot the first scenes of Chasing Dreams. I'm talking about the experience of what it was like. The first time that we went out there was actually supposed to be our first shoot date. All right, we've just arrived at Coney Island Beach, and we are about to get to setting up and filming the first couple of scenes of the film. Hey guys, so we are here on location at Coney Island. As you can see, I have my camera set up. I've got some of my gear in the back. So I actually ended up working with kind of a skeleton crew in the fact that it was me, Sky, and one cinematographer. As I mentioned, Sky and I traveled out there where I was scheduled to be cinematographer, and our first actor had canceled. It was actually a really nice day. I think it was around 70, maybe 80 degrees when we first went out to shoot, and it really, it kind of gave us a false sense of what it was going to be like when we went out the second time. The second time we went out about a month later, and it was about 30 degrees.
Tell me about filming today.
Filming today was hard, but fun. It was really pretty out here despite the cold, so glad to be a part of it.
And Enzo, how about you?
And it was fun. I got to keep my clothes on. The sky was really pretty. It was fun. It was really fast.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we just got done wrapping up all of the experimental shots for Chasing Dreams, and now we are headed back. My feet are numb from the sand, but we do crazy things for filmmaking.
So as you can tell in the film, our characters are wearing very kind of like loose clothing, kind of to make this dream-esque feel. And being out there 30 degrees, we're right next to the ocean, it was absolutely freezing. And seeing as that it rained, not even an hour prior, the ground, or should I say the sand, was wet. And we didn't have shoes on because I just felt like that would take away from the tone of the film. So we're standing out there in the sand, and I think by the end of the shoot, my feet were actually numb just from standing in that sand so long. So another big thing for this film was I actually shot it entirely on the iPhone, the iPhone 14 Pro Max to be specific. When going out there, my initial plan was to shoot with a DSLR, a Canon camera. And the problem was, I got out there, and to my surprise, all the batteries were dead. So I knew that this was the last day that I had to film, and I said, you know what? This is my passion, this is my project. It's gonna get filmed no matter what. So I handed the cinematographer my phone and I said, can you work with this? And he looked me in my eyes and he said, yes, I can. So when discussing the visual effects for this project, most of the dream sequence, as I should say, it was really, really something out of my comfort zone, something that I'd never really experimented with before. I was really familiar with green screen, something I kind of just grew up doing. In my film, The Space Where Home Exists, I actually have a sort of green screen sequence at the end where the main character, he opens the door and it's got this giant, view of space right through a doorway. And the way I filmed that, actually, I had put a green screen right outside my door frame, and I filmed just like that. So when doing this, I didn't expect it to be too much different, but I was wrong. The visual effects for this were something entirely different, an entirely new experience, should I say. So for this, I was actually, pretty familiar with how After Effects worked and how to use a lot of features in that software, but I wasn't aware of motion tracking, and that was something I actually had to learn for this film. But one thing that I did know was that, generally when motion tracking, you've got this green screen, right? But if you've ever looked at behind the scenes, they've got green screen, but they've got these X's on the green screen, and that's so you know what to capture and what to track to. You see, the issue is when we got out to Coney Island, what we were tracking to essentially was the sky, and you can't paint X's on the sky. So what I actually ended up doing was I had to take each of my sequences from the dream sequence, and I would put it into After Effects, and it would, view the entire length of the clip, and it would pick out points that they thought were really good to track, that stood out from the background. But what was difficult about that was I wasn't trying to track these points such as buildings or the sand. I was trying to track the sky. So, when we talk about the ending of my film, that actually, I really love the way that Call Me By Your Name, the movie, it ends, we have this still frame shot of the main character, and he's just sitting there, and he's just experiencing this deep emotion, and the credits just roll right over that, and we never really break from the character, right? It's just the film and then credits, and you're left just watching and watching as this character is acting out on screen. And I knew I wanted to do something like that, so that is why we have my character, he's laying there, and the title pops up and the credits roll, and we have the secondary character Jason continuing to act on screen, and we even hear him as the screen goes black and the credits continue to roll. So that is where that idea stems from. There is a painting that I came across by Marianne Foster, and it depicts these two people, a couple sitting on the beach, and they're kind of just looking out into the sunset. And as soon as I saw that, I knew that I really wanted to implement that into my film. So that is where, the poster of this film really inspired by that. And one of the main shots that is actually one of my favorite shots. That's where that came from, I saw this painting and I knew that I could just place my characters in there and that it would bring it to life in a new way. So I think one of the more upbeat parts of the film would be the chase sequence. So that actually was really inspired by the waltz. We have these two characters, and as one steps forward, the other steps back, and vice versa. And it is almost like a sort of dance, when you are dancing with a dance partner, it is about, one is leading, one is reacting to that. And that is what I wanted the audience to feel when they saw this, that there was, a little bit of playfulness, that is sort of a dance between these two characters. And I just was really inspired by that. Thank you guys so much for watching. This now concludes the behind the scenes for The Dreamcatcher, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the film. Again, if you haven't had a chance to see it, it'll be down in the description, and I will also link it in one of these cards up at the top. You can watch my other behind the scenes documentaries, including the Paintology documentary and the A Date with Death documentary. Again, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time in my next SDR film.